off we go again, Mum.
Yes.
Well, we've done 0 to 20, we've done 20 to 40, so now we're moving into, well, the second half of your life.
Yes.
So today we'll chat about your life between the ages of 40 and 60.
Yes.
In your prime.
Yes. I thought I'd be in my prime when I was about 30.
Well, it was certainly
or younger.
It was certainly a 20 years where a lot changed.
Yes.
So let's sort of kick off. 40 to 60, say 40 years old. What are your fondest memories of your mum and dad?
Oh, I love my dad dearly. We were very much alike, and we used to have great fun together when Mother went to spend time with her sister on the farm, and Dad and I used to pack up and go off up into the Weaver Hills, you know, to see his ex-girlfriend at Thorswood. And
who was that?
Ruth Ward.
Right.
It was a farm that my dad, when he left, I don't know whether it was when he was at the grammar school at Ashbourne, but I think he used to go up there. It was somebody his father knew, because his father was a cattle dealer, my grandfather, and he knew a lot of farmers in the area. And I think my dad used to go up there just to sort of help out, you know, when he wasn't...
I know I'm interrupting, but before I forget, you say your grandfather was a cattle dealer.
Yeah.
Was that where the silver cup came from?
Well, it came down the family. It wasn't presented to him. It was to one of my... it wasn't presented to my grandfather. It was to one of the uncles or something.
Right.
Handed down through the family to my father, you know.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I interrupted. So
I
you
forgot.
used to go up to the Weaver Hills and...
Yes, to Thorswood, the
Thorswood.
farm, where my dad used to go, and Ruthie was the farmer's daughter there. Mother used to pull his leg about her, I think. You know, they perhaps had a bit of a fling, I don't know.
Right.
And that's where I met Jeff, that major who shot himself. You know, he used
Yeah.
to work up there when he wasn't back in the army.
Oh, I see. So when you say you had you know, the fond memories of your dad and you went off to the farm, what else might you have done? What else did you...
Let all the fireworks off before it was bonfire night, didn't we?
Yeah. But then, did you go anywhere else? Any other...
Well, Mother was very jealous of my father and I having such a good relationship, I think, so we didn't push our luck too much, you know. We didn't go anywhere very much, really, no.
Right. And what sort of... you say you were very like your dad.
Yeah.
What were the... In what way do you think you were similar?
Oh, the way we thought and the way we looked at life in general, you know, and he used to let me go into his shed with him and do a bit of turning on his lathe, and, you know, anything he was doing I used to like to involve myself with.
Right. That's interesting. It's an unusual sort of thing to do with a daughter, isn't it? Do you think do you think he'd have liked to have more children? Or?
He may have done, I don't know. I never sort of questioned that, you know.
Right.
I don't think they did. I don't think Mother wanted any more.
Yeah. And what about your mum? Do you have any sort of... You know, I know you had some difficult times with her.
Well, she was a good mother when I was young, you know. She'd sit, when I was very little, she'd sit me on her knee in the kitchen at Chaddeston and read me Rupert Bear out of the daily paper every day. And she always looked after me very well. She made all my clothes and knitted things for me and fed us well, you know. So I can't grumble really, but I was never as fond of her as I was of my father, because she was very strict, you know.
When she said she knitted things for you, did she knit you that bathing costume?
Yes, that stretched with me.
Right.
Yeah, right. The yellow and green one. I wore that from when I was about 18 months old till I was about 10, I think. When it went in the sea, it stretched.
And never got back to the same shape. So how old would Grandpa have been, your dad, when he actually died?
He was 79.
Right.
Because he used to say to me, when we went to Auntie Nora's 80th birthday party, he used to say, "Oh, do you think I'll have an 80th birthday party?"
Right.
But he never quite made it.
Right. And he died of bowel cancer, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you remember much about that, or?
Oh, it was a miserable time, really, you know. I mean, he was at home at first, and then eventually had to go into the city hospital, and they operated. And the surgeon said, "Oh, I think I'm almost sure that I've got it all away, you know. He didn't have a colostomy. I mean, maybe if he had one like I have, it, you know, it wouldn't have come back. But anyway, he had another couple of years, quite good life, and then it all started up again, you know. And I think he did have another operation, but he never really got over it, you know. He had to go in the city hospital, and then he ended up sort of at the Derwent at the end, because the little ward that he was on was joined onto my X-ray department. So I was able to pop in and see him, you know. Right. And that he died in the Derwent hospital. Yeah. They were very good to him.
Yeah, it was nice that you were at least able to see him.
Oh, it was, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was sad, 'cause I remember
the night he died, it was 5 o'clock and I went into his little ward. He got a little side ward to say, you know, cheerio, I'm just going home now, Dad. And he says, oh, you look nice and brown. I think I've been on holiday or something. And that was really probably the last thing he ever said to me, because I'd only got home, been home about half an hour or an hour, and 2 of the nurses who lived near me called to say that he'd passed away.
Right.
So whether they'd just given him a little bit of help, I don't know.
Right. Oh well, it's nice that he sort of was close to you when.
Oh yes.
Yeah, when he sort of when he did die.
I know. I don't know if it was before or after his funeral. I went into his cottage and lay on his bed and cried. You know, it was awful.
Yeah. Because he lived in the cottage
at the back of us.
At the back of the cottage in Field Lane,
Yes,
didn't he?
Yeah.
Was he happy there?
Was he happy there?
Yeah.
Yes, I think he felt a bit shut away. He couldn't see very much, you know. Couldn't see who was going up and down the road very well. But yes, I'm sure he was happy there. Because it was too big for him to live at 21 Field Lane. So I thought it was a good move when he moved over to the cottage.
Yeah. It was a nice cottage.
And Ian said, well, he can live rent free as long as he does right by you. That's what he meant, leaving me his money.
Oh dear.
And that he pays the insurance and all that on it, you know. As long as he does right by me.
What a dreadful attitude.
Yes, yeah.
Really terrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
still, he never got his hands on my money anyway. That's
no. So, well, that sort of leads us on nicely in a way, because you were 48 when yourself and Ian were divorced.
Yes.
So how did life change then?
Well, it didn't really, because Eric and I were living together then at Belper, you see.
Right.
Before we were married.
I see.
And both our divorce papers came through more or less about the same time.
Right. So, what was it like at Belper when you were living there?
Oh, it was nice. It was a nice little house. We were pretty happy there, really. It was a long way to travel to work, though.
Right.
But yes, it was. And Anne was with us, of course, because Ian kicked her out, as you know.
Yes. Yeah.
He brought her to your flat in Macklin Street, didn't he?
He did. Yeah. Yes, I can remember that.
Yeah. And funnily enough, that's where his dad left him.
In Macklin Street?
Yeah. No, his mother left him in Macklin Street with his father. He had a little shop in Macklin Street.
History repeats itself.
Yes, isn't it strange?
Crikey. So, you're living at Belper with Anne, and you were going to work at the Derwent still?
Yes, yeah.
And what was Eric doing then? Was he retired?
Oh, he had a job. He worked at Babington Hospital for quite a while in Belper, portering and all that sort of thing, you know.
Right.
And then he worked after that at, when we lived at Newhall after that, he worked at Bretby, you know, theatre porter. But that's jumping ahead a bit, isn't it?
Well, that doesn't matter at all. So, you were living at Belper with Eric.
Yeah, we got married from
and then
there.
your divorce came through.
Yes.
And then you got married.
Yes, as soon as we
Yeah.
could arrange it, you know.
Tell me about the wedding day.
Well, our transport, as you know, was a Land Rover.
Oh yes, it was my my Land Rover. Yeah.
And I can always remember Christine and Trevor getting a lift from our house, you know, to the registry office, and Christine sat there, Oh, she thought it was terrible.
I think probably a lot of people would have done. But
Yeah, it was nice. She got a white ribbon on it, and
Yeah.
it was great fun. That
it was
was.
at least it was a white Land Rover, wasn't it?
It wasn't. I think it was your little old one, was it?
No, it was a
Oh
white
no,
one.
because we'd get in the back of the new one. Wouldn't we?
Yeah, it was the white one. Yeah.
Yes, it was.
So you were married in Belper,
Yes, at the registry office.
right? And did you have a do of any sort?
I think the night before, if I remember right, I think it was a photograph of it. We had a pre-wedding party, and one or two people from Chaddesden, like Jack Shepherd and Margaret and Michael and Harriet, came, and the neighbours at Belper came in, you know. So we had a party the night before.
Right. I might be completely wrong, but I've got a vague recollection of some sort of do in Derby.
Oh, well, that would be the wedding reception, wouldn't it?
It was a reception, was it? That's what I'm thinking of.
At the what was the name of the restaurant in opposite the cathedral?
Near the cathedral.
Yeah, opposite the cathedral there. I've forgotten the name of the restaurant now.
Yeah, was it up on the second story?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Wasn't it called the Cathedral Restaurant?
No. Haslam's?
No,
think
that
it
was a
was
furniture place, wasn't it?
No, I can't remember now what it was called.
I vaguely remember. It's
Yes.
sort of a low building.
That's right, and I remember my hairdresser, Alison and Brian, they got their baby, wasn't very old, and they brought him and he lay in his carry cot in the kitchen, you know, while we had our reception.
Right. Oh, so
And now, of course, poor Alison's dead.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. She was a smoker, though, and died of lung cancer, but she was only, what would she be? 48, 50 perhaps? Not very old, anyway.
Wasn't Alison was the hairdresser?
Yeah.
Was it Alison and Beryl?
That's right, yeah.
So what was your link with them? Where
I got to know them through going to the hairdressers. It was when I was at the Dunton hospital. I asked one of the nurses if there was a decent hairdresser around about, you know, and it was in Beaufort Street, and I went there and, you know, made friends with them, and we had a lot of fun together for years.
Right. And do you know what became of Beryl, or?
Oh, she married John, a farmer. She met him while she was at the hairdressers, helping Alison. He'd been the farm manager for the Rolls Royce Farms, but somehow he ended up in this little terraced house opposite the hairdressers, and he was divorced or something. And Beryl married him, and they live in a lovely big farm at, I think they rent it, near Ashbourne somewhere.
Oh.
I've been there, but quite a happy ending, you know.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about them. So how long did you live at Belper for, roughly?
Oh dear, I'm not very good at dates, and Eric could probably remember, but how long did we live at Belper for? Well, we moved there sort of just before we were married.
Do you think it was a couple of years or 5 years, or?
Could have been about 5 years.
About 5 years, and what happened then?
Well, it was a long way to travel to work at Bretby.
Oh, so you'd moved to Bretby by then?
Yes, and it was a long way to travel in all weathers, you know. So we looked for a house at Bretby, and well, you've seen it. You used to come. It's a big 4-bedroom house.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice when you used to come and bring your pals from London when you were there.
Because that was a big house, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Did you enjoy living there?
Not particularly. I felt very lost. I don't like high rooms and big houses. I like low ceilings and beams and cottages. But it was all right. Didn't like it very much.
No.
But Eric kept the garden very good. It was on a slope, and it was about 3/4 of an acre, you know. And kept it very nice.
So you made some quite good friends while you were there, didn't you?
Well, just 2 lots of neighbours, but there was one lot I wasn't very keen on, because she was always hanging around Eric if he happened to be in the garden, and, you know, Glenys.
Right, yeah.
So I was glad to get away, really.
Right.
I think there would have been big trouble there if we hadn't moved.
And there's a couple of chaps that you got on well with.
Oh, yes, a couple of, homosexual chaps that came and lived in the house across the road. And they were really nice, you know. The night before we left to come here, they took us out for a meal and things like that. Well, none of the other neighbours did.
No, I remember them. They
They were
I only met
nice.
them once or twice.
You
but they were
stayed
very
there
kind.
once.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, very.
They were very nice.
Yeah, I can't remember the circumstance of that, but I remember I did. Yeah. So, you're now at living at Newhall, working at Bretby, and so in about 1981 you'd have been 50.
Well, 31. I was born in 31, so I'd be 50 and 51, wouldn't I?
Yeah. So, did you have remember any sort of celebrations for your 50th? 50th
No, I
anything
don't
like that?
actually. I don't remember it being any different to any other day.
Right.
But my
Probably-
60th was,
You
of
probably
course.
you probably just decided to, oh crikey, I don't want to be 50, so I'll
Yeah,
not bother celebrating that.
Probably.
It's the other thing. It's quite coincidental. It was in the year that you were 50 that Charles and Di were married.
Yes.
Did you remember much about that? The royal
No, I
wedding.
remember watching it on the television and that, but
Yeah.
not a lot.
Do you think
I
they
think
were?
I'm going to sneeze. Oh, do excuse me.
You're right. So you watched it. You watched it on television. Did you sort of? Did you think they were well matched, or
What, Charles and...
Diana?
Yes, I did.
You did?
She was lovely.
Yes, it all went badly wrong, didn't it? Did you sort of?
Yes.
So, it's a great shame that they split up in many ways, but that's the way of the world. You're an animal lover.
Oh yes, very much so.
Let's just talk a little bit about the sort of.
Excuse me, I shall have to blow my nose. Sorry about all this, but there you are.
No,
It's natural.
That's absolutely right.
Okay, right, off we go again.
So you've had lots of pets over the years.
Yeah.
Take us through your series of pets as far as you can from when you were a little girl. What was your first pet?
Oh, when I was a little girl, we had Monty, a white-haired terrier. He was
Right.
a nice dog. My parents always had white-haired terriers. We had Judy's and Monty and that, So we lived at 21 Field Lane. And then when Anne was a baby, I wanted her to have a pet. I thought it was good for children to have a pet.
Did you tell me you had a mouse or something?
Oh, I had a white mouse called Dizzy, because she used to run round in circles.
Right.
And I know when she died, I buried her in a tin and in the garden. And then, of course, me being me, I had to go and dig it up to see what had happened. And there was just a little sprinkling of white powder in the tin on a bit of cotton wool, where the mouse had disintegrated.
Yeah.
I was a bit of a one for digging things up instead of buried.
What, didn't you bury one of your toys once?
Yes, cockle over door. It was a cockerel. I had a toy cockerel, and I buried him in the garden.
The way you do.
Yes, yeah. Anyway, animals.
Right, was the didn't you used to cart the mouse around?
Yes, he used to sit in my top pocket of my blazer, and I used to go on Chadderton Park with it and all sorts of things. They said, go up your sleeve, and
What did your friends think about it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think they thought much about it.
Normal for you.
Yes, yeah.
Right. So we've had the mouse called Dizzy and the wire-haired terriers. Then where did you?
Then when Anne was a baby, I wanted her to have a pet, so we got a little ginger kitten from the RSPCA, a Rufus. And how long did he live? He was quite old, I know, but he went peculiar. If we were out, he used to do his business on top of the gas stove and things
Oh,
like
lovely,
that.
lovely.
So in the end, I know why it was really, because we went to Auntie Nen's farm once, and she wanted me to have this little kitten. No, before that we had Timmy. Went with you in Derby to fetch Timmy from a little back street.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I remember that.
And then after Timmy...
He was always biting people, wasn't he?
Oh, yes. Well, you'd be stroking him on your knee and he'd be purring, and he'd suddenly whip round and sink his teeth into your hand,
Yeah.
And then once, while we got Timmy, we went over to Auntie Nen's, and she'd got this little ginger and white kitten we called her Cassie. They thought it was a boy and called it Cassius after Cassius Clay, but it was a girl.
Know that Cassie came from Auntie Nen's.
Yeah, she did.
Didn't know that.
I remember Auntie Nen saying, oh, she's a funny little thing, She was a lovely little cat. And So we had her and Timmy for a long, long time. They got on very well together.
Because I even remember them at Newhall, weren't they?
Yes, yes.
I mean, they'd have been a good age then.
They went to Belper.
Yeah. How old did they live to be?
Oh, and then we had Rufus, a little spastic.
Sorry, Timmy and Cassie. How old did they live to be?
Oh, let me think now. Both of them lived to be about 22.
It's amazing for a cat, isn't it?
Yes, and they weren't related. It wasn't genetic, you know.
Yeah.
They just lived about 22.
Yeah.
But Timmy went a bit peculiar. He used to sit and sort of howl in the garden. But he had a little tumour thing on his nose, and the vet said it had probably metastasised, you know, into his brain.
Oh dear.
So we had to have him put to sleep. But I was thinking, with Timmy and Cassie, I think at one point we did have 4 cats at Newhall. I think we must have had Rufus while they were still there. And what was the other one?
It was Jay.
That's right, Jay, of course, came from Frank's farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rufus, he was an unusual cat, wasn't he?
He was a spastic Manx cat. I particularly wanted a little ginger cat, and we heard about this one at somewhere near Nottingham. We went to get one, and the people, they'd got these 3 or 4 kittens, you see, and there was this little ginger one, and they said, well, you know, he's got, apart from being a Manx cat, who often have weak back ends, he's got something else wrong with him, you know, it'd be a lot of trouble, but of course I had to have him, didn't I? So that's how we had Rufus. And he was lovely, he was a lovely natured cat.
Yeah, it was. He used to run like a rabbit, didn't he?
Yes, that's right, hop like a rabbit. When he walked, he dragged his legs like a spastic person would.
Yeah.
But when he hopped, he went like the wind and like a rabbit, you know. Yeah, it was great.
That's how I remember him.
I was fond of him.
He was a lot of work though, wasn't he?
Yes. Oh, we had to have his bottom washed because he was always blocked up, you know. And spent hours with him in my arms over the sink washing him, but he put up with it all.
Yeah.
And he was a very game little cat here, you know, the cat door. If you saw anything through his cat door, threw it like a shot with a horrible screech, you know.
Yeah, he was a good character. So, and then you had a dog.
Well, only the Labrador we had for about 2 days.
You had a dog here.
Oh, Bugsy.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yes. Yeah. What am I thinking of? The lovely Bugsy. I wish I'd still got him.
Where did he come from?
Next door. The poachers had him, and they said he wasn't. He was getting on a bit. He was about 6, I think, when we had him, and they said he wasn't strong enough to bring a deer down, and they were going to hit him on the head with a hammer. So I gave next door 40 quid, and we bought him.
Right.
And he was lovely.
Yeah, crikey, that would have been awful, wouldn't it? Because he was a lovely natured dog.
There's some horrible people.
Yeah, because he was a lovely natured dog.
He was lovely. Because I know Jimmy used to say it's the best thing that ever happened to him was to come here, you know.
Yeah.
He was gorgeous.
Yeah. And now you've got another ginger cat.
Honestly, my brain must be going funny. Yes, of course, Harry. Oh, it's all this that's going on.
Harry, your very favourite cat at the moment, anyway.
Well, he's the only one we've got, so it has to be. Yeah, he's lovely. He is the nicest natured cat we've ever had.
Yeah.
He would never bite you or scratch you or anything like that. And he's lovely, most affectionate. Sleeps on the bed. And
So we've come from from Newhall from Belper to Newhall, and now up in Northumberland.
Yes.
How did you come to live up here? What was the sort of how did you come to find this cottage?
Well, we moved up here really. We wanted to be near you, or I wanted to be near you, and I'm sure Eric did. And we'd been up here when you lived up here in the little cottage down the road. We used to come up and have some lovely holidays and weekends with you. It was lovely. Because on the way home, by the time we got to the first island at the end of the Spine Road, I was saying, oh, I don't want to go home.
Yeah.
And we met the lady who lived in this cottage and her husband one New Year's party, and I just happened to say to her, well, if ever you do think of selling, would you give us the first option, you see? And then probably a couple of years later, we had a letter, or she rang up to say her husband had died when they were on holiday in Spain, and she was thinking of selling up. So we gave her what she asked for it, and up we came.
Right, right.
And then, of course, we'd been up here a while, a year or two, I don't know how long, and you got married and moved to Alnwick.
Which is at least it's only half an hour away, rather than about 3.5 hours down there. Yes, yeah. But I think it seems to have worked out very well, being a single-storey house and.
It's ideal for elderly people. You know, we had a rail put in the hall ages ago, and all on one level.
Yeah, yeah. So
the garden's a little bit of a bind, but we do have somebody to help us with it a bit, you know.
But that's only recently, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
so the past
for many years
it was Eric's kept it great.
Yeah, yeah. So would you say you were happy living up here?
Yes.
In Northumberland Wood, yeah.
What's
your favourite things about it?
Oh, the beautiful countryside for one thing, and the sea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like New Biggin. It's a nice little old fishing village. I'm not keen on Ashington, but then not many people are as a mining village. No. It was nice to be able to go to Newcastle quite easily when we used to get on the bus at the Lane End, but of course they've changed the buses now, so...
Yes.
And I don't think I'd be able to go to Newcastle anyway. Eric used to go shopping, but we neither of us do now.
Yeah.
We used taxis quite a bit to get around, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So, as you sort of, worked your way up towards 60, can you remember your 60th birthday?
Oh yes, I had a...
You can remember that?
Oh yes, I had a party, a big party at Newhall.
Right.
And we had, I don't know how many, but it was supposed to be a surprise party, but I knew about it.
Right.
But the people who came thought it was a surprise party, you see, and the neighbours helped and made cakes, and that helped Eric, sort of thing. And on the day, I went over to see, deliberately went over to see Auntie Nora for a few hours to get me out of the way, you see, so that when I came back, it was all laid on. When they opened the door, there were all these people.
Lovely.
Yes,
lovely.
And it was a lovely big do.
Yeah.
I've got photographs somewhere, but I haven't managed to find them yet.
Oh, I'm sure they'll turn up.
Yeah.
How did you? I remember you telling me a long time ago. I think when you were 30 years old, how you sat up in bed and cried.
Yeah. Thought I was so old.
Yeah. How did you feel being 60? Did you?
No, I never thought much about it. I just enjoyed the party, and that was it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, we've worked our way up to your 60th birthday now.
Yeah.
Would you say it was a happy 20 years? That period?
Some of it mixed.
Yeah.
I've had one or two marital problems, as you know. Well, I better not go into that.
But I mean that's true of, I think anyone would say yes, or any 20-year period in their life is going to have its ups and downs.
It could have been quite serious, I got as far as going to the solicitors and that.
Right.
Twice.
Right. Yeah, well, it must have, settled down in some way, settled down to some sort of...
You mellow as you get older.
Yeah. Settled down to a period of peace.
Yes.
Well, that's great. Is any sort of any other particular things in that period you want to mention that spring to mind, or don't spring to mind? How's Anne these days? How's she?
Oh, Anne's quite happy in her little sheltered accommodation, and she comes up here on the train on her own, books a steward, and comes up on her own, door to door, gets a taxi from the station and stays for a couple of weeks, and then we take her to the station or get a taxi, and she makes her own way back, so it works very well. There'll
be a lot off your mind that she's safe and sound.
Oh yes. Well, you always worry, don't you, about your children if they're I mean, it's very fortunate that she got this sheltered accommodation, you see, so she'll always be taken care of when I've gone.
Yeah. Oh, let's not talk about when you've gone. It's a long time off yet.
Well, I meant to say to you lots of times, you will make sure Anne's all right, though, won't you?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.